Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. This marks the third installment in this new series that I'm presenting on how to live fully engaged, even in turbulent times, how to embrace and protect our humanity at a time when those things are under attack. And I'd like to be clear here because I'm not fear-mongering in any way, shape, or form. What I am doing is sympathizing with everyone on just how difficult it is in these times to succeed with spiritual practices, to succeed with meditative practices, to succeed with meditation and awakening. It's more challenging now than ever. So this series is designed to help you understand some of the things that are necessary to overcome some of the negative impacts of things that are going on. This will, in turn, allow us to continue living fully engaged, even when times are a little uncertain. Yes, the times we are currently in are more than a bit turbulent, but we have to understand that this too shall come to pass. This will change. This is simply part of the extreme yang energy nature that we need to reach in order to begin the shift into a more positive yin energy nature. And this will bring positive changes to us as human beings and to our world. We cannot live in fear of what's happening at the moment. It is up to each of us to do our best not to be overly reactionary. And when you have succeeded with some of these practices, you are no longer reactionary at all. You are responsive, and that's a big difference. So I'm asking all of you not to give in to the fear. Do not allow yourself to live in fear for what's happening at the moment. Learn how to become responsive instead of reactionary, and become consciously aware of protecting your well-being and embracing your sense of what it is to be a human being. The point is to reclaim your independence and your humanity by taking responsibility for your own well-being and every single facet of your life. We can no longer rely on things like the government or other people to take care of us, nor should we. Living a fully engaged life is the absolute essence of independence on every level. Anyone who's on the path of awakening and living a fully engaged life accepts full responsibility for themselves and the life they are continuously creating. So understand that what I'm sharing with you here is not about fear. It's about awareness for yourself and your well-being. Because when we live fully engaged, we are not living in fear. We are living in joy and love and appreciation, regardless of what's going on around us. It's important to understand then that living a fully engaged life consists of doing, experiencing. When living fully engaged, you're not sitting on a sofa in front of a TV screen or sitting at a computer staring at Netflix or YouTube shows, nor are you overly engrossed in that little tiny screen on your cell phone. See, when we're living fully engaged, there is no such thing as cell phone addiction. You have no addiction to entertainment or distractions whatsoever. Instead, you are out engaging the adventure of life. Within the concept of living a fully engaged life is the implication of actually living. And those things I listed above, all of the entertainments and distractions and staring at a screen, that is absolutely not living. That's called existing, and it's barely even that. Living requires a sense of mobility. We're up off our butt and we're out in the world doing. We are experiencing. The idea is to balance the stillness of mind with the mobility and movement of the body. Life here indicates movement and change. When we're living, truly living, we're out in the world experiencing. We are living the adventure of a human life. Remember, it's experiencing itself that is our very nature. That is the nature of life, is our pure conscious awareness experiencing. So yes, the experience matters. It is this experience, the act of experiencing, that allows our pure conscious awareness to expand. And that's really, honestly, the only way that the life that we are living actually impacts our pure conscious awareness. It allows that awareness to expand or not, depending on our experiences. So what you see here is the stillness of the mind and the movement of the body. What we want to be able to do is understand that we need to engage forms of exercise and movement. We need to become more conscious and cautious of what we allow into our body. So too should we be more mindful to keep the body moving. Physical exercise is non-negotiable for our health and well-being. And when we're living fully, we'll be getting plenty of exercise. Hiking mountains and trails, either domestically or in foreign countries, swimming, surfing, kayaking in the bay, Tai Chi, Qigong, martial arts, weightlifting, kettlebells, stretching, dancing, or even simply walking are all extremely beneficial forms of movement. It's the reason that I prefer to practice Qigong over yoga, because I understand the value of movement. And Qigong incorporates very light, graceful, relaxed movements. So if there's nothing wrong with yoga, that's fine. If that's the activity you want to do, then that's fine too. I'm just sharing why I enjoy Qigong over yoga, but yoga is still very beneficial and nice too. Just make sure you're getting something authentic. Drinking beer or playing with your dog while doing yoga is not real yoga. It's not an authentic practice by any stretch of the imagination. The human body was meant to move, and it needs motion, just like a car, right? If we leave a car stored in a garage long enough, right, over the years, and it's immobile, what happens? It starts to deteriorate. The tires start to rot out from underneath it. The fabric starts to crack. The body rusts out, right? It's no longer working. Well, our body is the same way. We need to keep it up and moving in order to keep it healthy and working. The body is our vehicle in which we get to experience this life adventure. So it doesn't matter what activity you do, although I do recommend avoiding competitive sports. Yes, it's a form of movement and exercise, but it's detrimental to the mind as it reinforces the ego. And as I've stated time and time again, that goes for every single type of competitive sport, regardless of what it is. So you notice that all of these things I list here really have nothing to do with competition. Sure, you could turn them into that if you wanted to, but I'm not referring to anything competitive here. That's a way you can protect your mind. You can protect it from the ego inflating by avoiding competition. The ego-dominated mind prefers competitive activities because it inflates itself through that sort of thing, and it doesn't have enough depth to understand anything else. In other words, it's a very shallow state of mind. But when we understand what we love, a hobby, right? Something we love to do in life, something that we lose track of time while we're doing, and that's what you want to do. So find a physical activity or exercise that you truly enjoy, something that makes you feel good, something that you have fun with while you're doing it, and then do it for the sole sake of yourself, for your own well-being, not because you can be better than someone else. Then you are maximizing the benefits. So we have to understand that those who are living fully are always experiencing new adventures in life all the time. It's especially important that we get out in nature and away from the cities. Both the body and the mind benefit from reconnecting to nature. This quickly improves our physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and vibrational well-being. We get to feel our true place in the world, in the universe, as a conduit between the energies of heaven and earth. In Japan, there's a term called Shinrin-yoku, which means forest bathing. And I've done an entire podcast on this idea, but I want to bring it up again here and make sure that you understand that. Okay, so you can reference that if you'd like. But it refers to being out in nature and contains an immense amount of research showing just how important it is for human beings to interact with nature as much as possible. How healing it is for us physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and vibrationally. And since we're speaking of nature here, I'd like to offer you a quote from the famous John Muir, right? We have Muir's Woods out here. It's a small redwood forest area. So this is a quote of his. "The clearest way into the universe is through a forest wilderness." I think that's a beautiful, beautiful statement. As human beings, we are deeply and intimately connected to nature. We are a part of nature itself, and we are not meant to live separately from it. When we become separated from it, as in larger inner city environments, larger urban type areas, what happens is we begin to lose our humanity. Look at things like the crime rate in those areas, right? Some of the things that are going on in those areas are far less than animalistic traits. And I'm referring to all races, both genders, and all ages of people. This happens to all of us as the human race. We're living in a concrete jungle without trees and bushes and dirt, and all it is concrete and asphalt. And this is not healthy for us. We stop caring about our surroundings because our environment, our surroundings, they're dead. Unlike when we're out in nature, where everything is alive. I mean, look at the way people throw trash around in the bigger cities. But out in nature, we have a tendency not to do that as much, especially if we have any sense whatsoever, but especially if we are mindful human beings. So this speaks to how our mental and emotional state deteriorates when we are separated from nature. And we can see that it greatly impacts our longevity as well, because the life expectancy of people living in big cities is less than those living near nature. But as usual, don't take my word for it. And we're not relying on fake television shows here. I'm telling you, go to these big cities and witness it for yourself. Just go and observe. Or if you have people that live there, ask them. Get some video of that, real video, and you can see how our humanity tends to slip away from us when we are in these type of fake, overcrowded environments. And the vast majority of the time, people are completely oblivious to the fact that it's happening. They have no idea. They think it's just normal and natural to act the way they act, but it is not. The big, bright cities are wonderful to visit, but it can have a greatly detrimental impact on us to live there all the time. You look at big cities, right? It's what New York is known for, and I'm not saying anything bad about New York, but New York has the reputation, we all know that the people there are very cold, they're disconnected from one another, they're very self-absorbed. That's not our nature. That's what happens when we live in a concrete jungle, but that is not our nature. That is a form of separation, and in reality, we are all connected. We are connected through our sense of humanity to one another. But as that sense of humanity fades, we become more entrenched in our own heads. And physically, mentally, emotionally, and even energetically separated from those around us. We have to remember that animals do not senselessly attack, kill, rape, rob, and harm others, nor do they engage in criminal or corrupt behaviors, leaving victims in their wake and destroying lives. It is only the human animal who has sunk to levels lower than those of the animal kingdom that could ever behave in such barbaric ways. Living this way strips people of their humanity, and our humanity must be protected. Our humanity is precious, and we must reclaim a sense of respect for it, instead of simply tossing it aside like it's worthless trash. We must embrace it lovingly and be far, far more mindfully willing to protect it at all costs. Let's examine a few other benefits to getting out of the cities and getting into nature. Getting out into nature helps us escape all of the EMF pollution that's going on. Yes, this is something we have to take note of. It interferes with our personal electromagnetic field, right? So you understand that EMF means electromagnetic field. So each of us has our own personal electromagnetic field, right? It's usually commonly called an aura or energy bodies, or depending on the spiritual system, could have a few other names. But smartphones, smart meters, Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi routers, and the all-new 5G networks, Wi-Fi towers, you name it, all of these things emit EMF pollution. That EMF pollution is a form of radiation, and that radiation negatively impacts our DNA and jeopardizes our health. Remember what I said in one of the previous episodes in this series about protecting our DNA. There's a ton of research on this subject out there. But taking a look at some of the research done by people such as Dr. Joseph Mercola and Camelia Reese, they suggest a direct link between EMF pollution and things such as autism, decreasing sperm counts in men, tumors, cancer, neurological conditions, sleep disorders, depression, cognitive problems, DNA damage, immune system disorders, hormone disruption, cardiovascular irregularities, metabolism changes, fertility impairment in both sexes, increased blood-brain barrier permeability, and much more. I mean, how many other things do we need to list, right? All of these issues are arising due to EMF pollution, and yet mainstream corporate media will not inform us of this at all, will they? Isn't that interesting? I'd like to share a quote with you from Dr. Joseph Mercola in an article addressing EMFs as the root cause of illness. Quote, "I often share details about the underlying causes of chronic illness. Poor diet, lack of exercise, emotional stress, all of these are likely familiar to you. What may not be as readily apparent are the contributing factors of illness that you cannot see, feel, or touch, and frequently cannot avoid. Environmental toxins make up this later group, and EMFs are definitely among them. EMFs should be considered a harmful invader to your body just like any other environmental toxin, as they interfere with your health at a cellular and DNA level." End quote. My lovely wife and I do as much as we can to have activities out in nature. As a matter of fact, a few days from now, we will be going for an evening kayaking tour through the bay. looking at the bioluminescence. It's going to be incredible. We also do as many things as we possibly can, at least to minimize the harmful effects of EMFs. We never bring cell phones or computers into our bedroom while we sleep. Never. We don't bring them in the bedroom at all. Nor do we have a TV in there. We never put our cell phones up to our ear when we speak with them either. When you're talking on the phone, we suggest either using a speaker function or a hands-free system. We use both of those. Our futon is pulled out away from the wall about 6 inches or so to keep us away from the electrical outlets. We also keep the Wi-Fi router downstairs and covered. But we plan on getting rid of it completely and just going back to an Ethernet cable to avoid the harmful effects altogether. There are so many little things you can do that add up and make a big difference. Now, in that quote by Dr. McCullough, he states that the EMFs cannot be seen or felt. And this is certainly a matter of truth for the vast majority of people. But I can tell you that it can be felt. If you develop a heightened degree of sensitivity, a sense of awareness, you can actually feel the energy. And you can feel the energy and the interference of these things. And in some cases, for those who are capable of seeing energy, you can probably see the effects in the air around you as well. From a spiritual perspective, EMF radiation interferes with our ability to meditate, and it stops us from increasing our vibration. It scatters our frequency. This messes with our chakra system, our dantian system, the energy bodies that surround our physical body, commonly called the aura or your personal electromagnetic field, and the electromagnetic field that radiates from our heart. One radiates from our heart, which is considerably stronger than the one radiating from our brain. But EMF pollution interferes with all that. It even inhibits our ability to receive through intuition. So think about that. It's negatively impacting our mental and emotional health. It's negatively impacting our physical health. And it's negatively impacting our spiritual well-being. And the thing is that the government and big mega corporations are all very well aware of these negative effects. But profits and power are more important than the well-being of the people. This is why it's up to all of us to protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves from modernization and technology. Now, those things aren't bad inherently. Yes, we abuse them, we make them bad, but they aren't bad inherently, but the effects that they can have on us can be. And we have to understand and accept that and minimize how much of that we allow into our lives. This is why I highly recommend engaging in an authentic, internal-based movement practice like Tai Chi Chuan, Baguazhang, Xingyi Quan, or Qigong. These Chinese internal systems of movement not only offer the benefits of physical exercise, but also the ability to interact with your own personal electromagnetic field, offering the opportunity to keep your energy healthy. Yes, we have to protect the health of our energy system, of our own vital life force, of our own aura. Whenever my wife and I hike to the peak of Mount Tamalpais, or a mountain in Japan, China, Tibet, Nepal, or even Bhutan, we engage in these types of movement practices when we reach the peak of where we're going. I've even taught some of these internal Chinese martial arts systems to students up on the mountain. This helps to reset and strengthen your energetic system. See, the health of your energetic system is extremely important for your longevity and well-being, and it's just another layer of you. We have a physical anatomy and we have an energetic anatomy, and the two are intimately interlinked. Not to mention that both of those are then linked to the mind. Anyone practicing an internal martial art, you don't have to do it for its martial practice. You can solely do these forms, these practices for their physical and health benefits. But anyone practicing these forms knows full well that they need the intention to direct the flow of their internal energy or life force to make it work. And this is how the mind gets involved. So in order to live a fully engaged life, we have to be updoing. We have to be experiencing the adventure. We have to get away from these screens that are being shoved in front of our face all the time. We have to get up out of the couches and chairs and out of our beds, and we have to start engaging life. That's how it was meant to be for us. That is the human experience that allows us to protect and embrace our sense of humanity. All of those incredible attributes that separate us from the animal kingdom and the insect kingdom and the plant kingdom and everything else, the things that make us human. But see, for those who aren't awakening yet, that are falling deeper into the slumber, they slip underneath humanity and under the level of animals. This is why so many people are resorting to pets as human replacements. Right? They're getting confused, thinking they're human beings. They talk to them, they treat them, they dress them like human beings, and they are not. But see, when we allow our humanity to slip away, this is what happens. And it is not healthy for us to trade our human relationships for those with pets. We have to understand that this isn't normal, that this isn't happening everywhere in the world. It's happening in those countries that are losing their humanity. So get out of the cities, get out into nature, reset yourself, reconnect to nature, reconnect to your sense of humanity. Get out and enjoy the fresh air, the sunshine. Put the screens down and do your best to try to minimize the effects of EMF pollution in your life. This is just one more thing we have to be aware of. It's not a big deal. It's nothing to be afraid of if you're consciously aware of it and consciously taking precautions. We just live in a time where we have to take precautions. And that's all right. That's simply the way it is. So then if you are living a fully engaged life, then you can do that. It's easy. You just factor that into what you're already doing. But you'll find that you have a tendency to go this route anyway, as you continue to awaken and see through the illusion. So the question is, are you up getting exercise? What physical activities are you doing on a regular basis? And are you getting out into nature? Are you limiting the negative impact of EMFs? And when you're engaging in activities that directly address the internal energies, you can not only survive and maintain your sense of longevity with all of these things around you, but you can actually thrive in the face of them. And that's the idea of living a fully engaged life. Please visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. You can grab your autographed copy of Expansion Mastery there, and you can get your Appreciation Mastery program. Super powerful program that will help you on your way to not only awakening, but a healthier, higher vibration. And make sure to follow and like and subscribe and, do all of that stuff. If you are spending any time on the computer in front of that little screen, minimize it. But when you're there, just go ahead and make sure that you do the right thing and help us out by hitting that like button, subscribe, all that stuff. And I greatly, greatly appreciate the support. And please, above all, make sure you're sharing these podcasts with those that you care about. Share them with friends and family. Let's get the things that matter out there into the hands and the ears of the people. Let's make sure that we give them a fighting chance to embrace and protect their humanity and take part in the great consciousness shift. Until next week, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and in your life. Take care.